Just a couple of things before we get into the Secret Service incompetence that I've got to cover, because I'm going to be away this weekend, okay, from about Friday until, unless something breaks on Sunday, hopefully it doesn't. Still going to have videos out and all that stuff, but just in case anything happens with the news around Biden that, yeah, he's tested positive for the coof, okay, and especially for somebody at his age, you know, just one more booster might have been able to prevent this, but speedy recovery, hope the symptoms aren't that bad and all that stuff. Perhaps are they using it as an opportunity, we're talking about the DNC here, to do the old switcheroony? Because apparently that's what's going around, because I'm seeing some things from some inside sources, so take this with a bucket of salt. Now Biden's asking, so you think Kamala can win? Absolutely not, and we've known that for a very long time. Hell, there's a reason that they installed her as his vice president, because she was the contingency. And it's like, okay, you think Biden's bad? Kamala's going to be a hell of a lot worse. So no, she can't win. Trying to replace Joe with her would not work at all. And given the fact that the DNC, you know, the actual event, not the establishment we're talking here, isn't going to be happening until I think it's middle of August. August 19th is when it officially kicks off. And they've got some leeway to really make some decisions here as to what they're going to do with Joe, because he's eventually going to have to take the stage. And if Trump, and I've only seen a little bit of his speech so far, so you kind of want to do a best of or news coming out of the RNC. We'll have to do that at the beginning of the week, like I said, because this weekend, unfortunately, for one of the biggest news weekends of the year, I already have prior commitments, and that stuff is a little bit more important. So this news is already going to be there to begin with, and it's only going to get dumber. So I don't think they're going to do the old bait and switch on Joe quite yet. But I think that there's, at this point in time, I think there's a higher than not chance that they could rug Joe. I don't think it's below a 50-50 at this point in time. I'm just thinking that they're trying to figure out what exactly they can do, if they can push him across the finish line to just make him the sacrificial lamb so that nobody else on the incredibly weak Democratic bench ends up getting sacrificed to the guy who literally took a bullet for the country. You can just go ahead and, you know, let Joe just ride this one out. I think they'll be more than willing to do that, because they can see 2028 as being far more winnable what they're doing right now. So yeah, reports of Biden preparing to leave the race imminently. I could be eating a whole plate full of crow, but I don't think that we'll hear much about this over the weekend, especially with Joe. I don't know, is he going into isolation or is he going back to Delaware to go chill? I think I've seen him walking incredibly gingerly down some steps here recently, but that could have either been within the past couple of hours or within the past 4 years. But if something does go sideways, well, we already know what the media narrative is going to be. It was just as predictable as to what the outcome, what the fallout of what happened last Saturday was ultimately going to be. But leave it up to Reid to have just a wonderful take on things.
Here's the question that I have on that. These two men are both elderly. Donald Trump is an elderly man who, for whatever reason, was given 9 seconds to take a iconic photo op during an active shooter situation. Weird situation. We'll figure that out one day.
Oh, more about that here in the very, very near future. I think I got some more stuff on that, okay? Because that sounds an awful lot like the rhetoric that cost Alex Jones multiple billions of dollars. Is she insinuating that potentially it was a staged event that happened last Saturday? But I'll let her continue.
Okay, but his survival of that and bouncing right back and going right to his convention is being conveyed in the media world as a sign of strength. This current president of the United States is 81 years old and has COVID. Should he be fine in a couple of days? Doesn't that convey exactly the same thing?
So an assassination attempt is apparently an apples to apples comparison to catching the coof for a second time after how many boosters? Okay. Reid, not just, you know, the most retarded bitch on the planet. She is also one of the biggest conspiracy theorists, I think, currently employed at one of the major networks. But her coworker is definitely trying to give her a run for her money, okay, for as much nodding along as the former press secretary, Jen Psaki, who, if it isn't painfully obvious that there is a open pipeline between the media and the Democratic National Party. I don't know what else is, but Rachel Maddow over here, calls Lord of the Rings a right-wing dog whistle. I'm sorry, what? You want to go ahead and hand over what is quite possibly the greatest story ever told on film to the right? All right, I'll take it. Refers to Gandalf, okay, it's Gandalf's Ring of Power, Nara, and says it's Aryan, but you just move the N. Oh my god, is she also writing Doctor Who where, oh my god, Sutak is Susan Technology, oh my god, that means Sutak is back. What about Harriet Arbinger? Oh my god, she's a harbinger of things to come. And Gandalf is Aryan if you just move the N. I think somebody's having a breakdown being in Milwaukee for a little bit too long, but I wanted to get that stuff out the way because there's not going to be much, there's not going to be an opportunity to talk about the stupidity that's out there, because in light of other stupidity, especially when it revolves around the assassination attempt, we're going to be seeing more conspiracies as time goes on, obviously, because the left is going to left at the end of the day. We got to get some facts here first and foremost, because Trump is beating the brakes off of Biden in the polls, okay? And especially, we were waiting on this one, okay? Because we kind of knew that this would end up ingratiating Trump to the wider population. There are far more people now emboldened. Well, you've seen it in the aftermath of that. Elon Musk has become one of the biggest MAGA supporters I have seen across Twitter. And some of the more patriotic speeches at the RNC that I've got bits and pieces of wouldn't have been possible without the events, catastrophic, terrible events that happened in Butler on Saturday. So yeah, of course, now more people seeing a man willing to take a bullet for the country, willing to go that far to serve his country and take it out of the rut that it has been in for the past 4 years. I mean, how do you not? How can you not? I understand that a lot of people have TDS, and we'll talk about them all in due time, as we have before, but fence sitters that are out there, yeah, that fence every single day, and a little bit more vacant. Former President Donald Trump is now leading President Biden by 5 points nationally. That's incredible, because you still know that these polls are incredibly skewed to the left, so the fact that they're even announcing that Trump has a 5-point lead, you know that it's probably getting closer to double digits. Expanding his lead after his near assassination on Saturday. CBS poll published on Thursday, and yeah, CBS legendarily skewed to the left, okay? Shows Trump up 52 to 47, nationally among likely voters, so now he has the majority. It's no longer a plurality. We're not talking even within the within a standard deviation. We're not even talking within the margins of a pickpocket. Let's just say of a busted water main, okay? Read those numbers. You don't have to put up Bristol board on windows so observers can't peer in. This is bad. This is astronomically bad. And even if you think at the 11th hour, subbing somebody in, bringing in Kamala Harris, bringing in Gavin Newsom, that's not stopping the Trump train this time around. It's not so much of getting rid of an unsavory nominee on your side. You're going up against a behemoth. That's why I'm kind of thinking they're going to go ahead, let this fire burn for right now, and then just marshal their forces for the next cycle. But hey, this is also the Democrats that you thought would maybe, I don't know, take stock of things in 2016, but instead they just doubled down. And, well, now we're here where the former president is getting shot at. A Republican president has now won the popular vote in 2 decades. It's been 3 decades since won by over 5%. Yes, that was the Reagan landslide, right? And 84. Hasn't happened in my lifetime. Kind of shaping up to be that way, huh? God, I can't wait for November. We have been waiting for this for a very long time. Even in the afterglow of 2020, when all of that shit went down, we knew 2024. If you play your cards right, okay, hitting that second act low point, brother, that's just only gonna make conclusion to this so much sweeter. It's just unfortunate. During this process, innocent man lost his life. Let's not forget that. Former president upped his lead by 1 point across the swing states. Okay, Arizona, Georgia, not really. Michigan, that one's interesting. Okay, North Carolina, Nevada, Pennsylvania, and Wisconsin. Since the last time CBS conducted a battleground survey 1 week ago. And yeah, we got the numbers that are right there. But yeah, the survey indicated the shooting could directly change the likelihood of of voting for Trump in November. The poll showed 26% of registered voters said that they were now more willing to vote for Trump after he was shot at on Saturday by a gunman. Yeah, man. Now that's people just, I don't know, man, getting remotivated because I've been a Trump supporter for very, very long time. Probably somewhere around the 2015 primaries when things were starting to look a little bit more positive, because at that point in time, back in the cut, I thought that we were kind of resigned to just a dynasty election, right? Like it was just going to be Jeb Bush. Okay, we'll see if we can get the third Bush in office, or are we going to get the second Clinton? Because Trump was just like, it's just, what are we doing? Okay, what are we doing? We got this celebrity TV host with the very popular Apprentice show, and it's somebody who I always thought was a joke back in the cut. Okay, back in pre-2015. Okay, and as somebody who shares a common given name. Okay, Don isn't short for Donnell, Darnell, or anything like that. It's short for Donald. Okay, and I'm sure a lot of people out there. Okay, you like to compare and contrast your name with other popular people that are out there. Okay, to be honest, everybody's done it. And when it comes to the name Donald, well, it's kind of an old man name, so yeah, this is, I'm going to age with a considerable amount of grace. Reintroduce, the ALD at the end of my name in order to give myself a little bit of gravitas, but I digress. Who else, though? Who else in the public consciousness shares a similar name? Well, there was Donald Sutherland, who unfortunately passed away a couple of weeks ago. Rest in peace. Great actor, but he's been old for as long as I can remember. Are there any contemporaries that were out there? No, not really. Just one guy, just a bloviating New Yorker who's always just been kind of a joke. But the more you started to listen to the guy, you started to realize that caricature the media was presenting, that wasn't really him. This was a guy who actually cared about the country. This is a guy who actually had some salient points on the economy, good ideas when it came to immigration. Yeah, he can actually tell a tale and it be funny and compelling. It was one of those things where the moment that you heard him, burst the bubble that the media was trying to put him in, and it painted him more as a complete person. And that's what we've seen actually quite a bit of back during 2020, right? When he was holding those daily press conferences back during my lockdowns and all that stuff. His approval ratings were going up, and then the media cut it off because, allowing the people to actually hear from the president and realize that, he's actually not at all what they're talking about. That's not good for the narrative that we're trying to push. Now that people are tuning into the RNC, people are tuning into his rallies, their failed cancellation attempt ended up backfiring. Now it's got to the point where, they're not running what-if scenarios if he's elected in November. They're coming down to, oh my God, this is an inevitability. What in the blue hell are we going to do? Well, we're just going to go ahead and make his rallies. We're going to make his public appearances as open door as possible, because now we can talk about the Secret Service. And they were warned about and ID'd Thomas Crooks as a threat 10 minutes before Trump took stage, but let the ex-president go on anyways. This was, I don't know, man. I've been seeing this stuff for the past few days. Was it an inside job by the Secret Service? I don't like to get all tinfoil hatty. You guys know that, I'll pay lip service to a conspiracy theory. I don't really like to engage in all of it, but every once in a while, you got to come down on the side of the facts and realize that this isn't a conspiracy theory. This is just a conspiracy fact. Because if it's coming out that the Secret Service knew what the hell was going on, and that if you take a look at the timeline of events and how quickly everything went down, well, they clearly knew that somebody was up there on that too dangerous to be on sloped roof. He knew what was going down. Had that building staked out as being a high priority target and also a security risk, but yet you did nothing about it. I mean, what are we talking about here? Secret Service was warned about Thomas Matthew Crooks and designated him as a threat 10 minutes before former President Donald Trump took the stage. And you mean they couldn't have delayed things until they figured out exactly what was going on? Really? But allowed him to go on anyway, law enforcement sources told the Post. The agency was also warned that there was a character of suspicion on the grounds more than an hour before Saturday's deadly shooting at Trump's campaign rally in Butler, Pennsylvania. Fox News first reported the new details, which emerged during a stunning Senate briefing by the Secret Service on Wednesday. Really? Sources told the Post that Crooks was not described as having a gun when the warning went out. Yeah, because we know that he went on that roof 3 separate occasions, and once with a rangefinder in order to scope out how far exactly his target would ultimately be. He was identified as a character of suspicion because he had a rangefinder as well as a backpack, and that was over an hour before the shooting actually occurred. That's crazy. So you would think over the course of an hour, you shouldn't lose sight of the individual. Somebody ought to be following up on those sorts of things. No evidence of that happening at all. I mean, you see him go up on that roof. Wouldn't you think at that point in time, yeah, it's time to properly secure that building? But then we also hear more information that the Secret Service had few resources to cover Trump after the NATO summit. Listen, there was something that happened somewhere else, and we just clearly couldn't properly coordinate security. Presidential candidate for a former president of the United States. Are you having a laugh? Are you having a laugh? Secret Service had a little resources to cover the July 13th campaign rally when former President Donald Trump was nearly assassinated in Pennsylvania after the conclusion of the NATO summit in Washington, D.C., according to congressional whistleblowers. Unbelievable. Now, whenever the Secret Service, a legendarily short-staffed institution, which this has been known for a long time, whenever they need to provide detail for other dignitaries, they just call on other agencies. Homeland Security, FBI, I'm sure ATF probably even gets tagged every once in a while, okay? Every one of your 3 or 4 letter agencies, anybody who is properly credentialed and can wave around a badge will get drug in for specific detail. Yeah, I would imagine every one of those world leaders at that NATO summit, they were probably properly taken care of, but not a former president. Not one currently on the campaign trail. Really? Whistleblowers told the House Judiciary Committee that Secret Service Special Agent in charge, Tim Burke, revealed the oversight at a July 8th meeting. So 5 days before this happened, they knew that, yeah, we're gonna be a little tight on personnel. That's more than enough time to go ahead and clear up any of those discrepancies. By the way, Western Pennsylvania Fusion Center and other law enforcement partners. Okay, yeah, after meeting with the FBI as well. So yeah, they were trying to get agents, and you can't tell me that the best funded, the most well-maintained federal agency in the FBI, the darling agency of the Democrats that are at their beck and call, you couldn't get enough people from them. Interesting. The meeting was held to talk over security needs for Trump's fateful event in Butler, on top of First Lady Jill's separate event on behalf of her husband's campaign in Pittsburgh the same day. He had to split resources between the First Lady, who was anticipating literally tens of people in the crowd, or Trump's thousands of people turning out in Butler. He couldn't properly delegate resources. Yeah, man. The more I read and the more I figure out about this stuff, I've got to come to the conclusion that either it's gross incompetence by Kimberly Cheatle, right, director of the Secret Service, former employee at PepsiCo, where she ran Sterling campaign. I'm certain of it. Definitely set her up for bigger and better things in the Biden administration. Or it was something far more malicious. I'm not willing to go down that path quite yet. I will just simply go ahead and rest on gross incompetence. But regardless, she should not be employed anymore. As Secret Service, you have one job. Keep the politicians safe. And you failed on a catastrophic level. Why is she still employed? But I'm sure we're gonna see quite a few changes on the Democratic side of things here in the next few weeks and months. It's only going to get crazier from here, because if you think this is the last time that something drastic happens, brother, you haven't been through this quite yet. So with all that said, thank you all very much for the gift of your time. I've been Don Consuelo. I want you to follow your gut and get after it. Take care, everyone.